Hi guys, it's Andy from Man City Fan TV and welcome back to the Friday Night Social. Well, 3 guests on tonight. Keep it a little bit simple this week, and what we've done is invite Chris back and Tom, and obviously Martin is on the channel as well. So just very quickly, Chris, how are you, buddy? You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. I must admit, I'm getting a little bit frustrated.
Yeah,
it'd be nice to get out in the car and stuff. I was just saying to Tom before we came on, it's, you do all your best you can, stay in, and then you get these idiots out, gathering together. You just think, you're just prolonging the whole thing. But apart from that, it's Groundhog Day, really.
Well, you're actually on leave, aren't you? At the moment?
Yeah.
So have you got another week to go?
I've got another week to go, yeah.
So this is only your first week, really, in lockdown.
Yeah. It's looking at looking outside, seeing the car sat there and thinking, I just want to go for a spin or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just get out of the house. But yeah, apart from that, I can't complain, mate. Things could be a lot worse.
Yeah, everyone okay? Kids okay?
Yeah, absolutely. My eldest Jack is getting me to draw everything.
Really?
Yeah, all his favourite characters. Yes.
Brilliant. Tom, how are you, buddy? I've not spoke to you for a week.
No, well, it's been all right. Just been doing the same sort of thing, really.
What's that?
Gym, in the just chilling out, playing on the Xbox. Just been doing stuff like that, really.
Yeah, family okay?
Yeah, they're all doing well. Yeah, my granddad, he's got Alzheimer's, so he's not struggling, but we're supporting him and he's getting on well. So yeah, it's all good.
Brilliant, Martin. Well, I don't really need. Do I really need to ask you? Speak to you about 800 times a day. How's things with you, mate?
It's Friday, isn't it? It's Friday, isn't it? The only reason I know it's Friday because we're doing the Friday social. That's it anymore. I haven't got a clue what day it is. I'm good. I think I've gone through all my Netflix, gone through all my Amazon Prime. I've hit through every drawing. My drawing's got better. I'm a better drawer now. I'm in work next week, and I actually cannot wait.
Yeah, I think some people have said that. Some people who said who've been off work, who are going in work, are saying they wish they were back in work.
I was allowed out from Tuesday. I came out of official isolation from Tuesday. That was like going into like fresh air. Didn't know what I was doing. Went and queued up at the local supermarket with the other 3,000 people. It's a strange time. It's a strange time. And do you know what I do hope? That this does change the world a little bit. I'm hoping society gets a little bit better for this. Because you know what? Some of these social distancing measurements we could bring into society full time. Do we have to be on top of each other like we are? Or like we have been.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because today I think there was a poll that had been done, and I think 80% of people said that they've quite enjoyed this social distancing and lockdown and everything else, and will potentially that'll make them look to the future in a different way. So whether they'd like it as it is right now, I'm not quite sure. But certainly some of the measures that have been in place, I tend to agree with you. I mean, my feelings on football. It's certainly made me look at football in a completely different way. And whether I'll ever have the same love I did in February for football again, I'm not sure whether I will. I'll be honest with you after everything that's gone on. But anyway, we're here to talk about football. And the first thing, obviously, there's been the usual garbage, nonsense, rumours, transfer rumours, which, let's face it, I'm not even going to go into on a Friday Night Social because it's we've covered them on the live vlogs and things like that during the week. Martin's covered them, I've covered them, I've made videos, Martin's made videos. I mean, it's just really to keep you up to date with what's been going on. But in all honesty, nobody knows what's happening. We talked about Lautaro Martinez last week on the Friday Night Social. Well, today, the rumours are City have turned around and said absolutely no, it ain't happening. So they're rumours. So we don't know what's going on. I'm not going to cover the Sane stuff tonight because again, it's just speculation. We have no idea what's going on. But one of the big, well, yeah, we are. And nobody knows the truth. Nobody knows the truth. So we're just all speculating and guessing. But one thing we have heard over the last 48 hours, which has been pretty big news, is the potential, still hasn't been confirmed, is the Newcastle takeover. Now, as we know, it's been brokered by Amanda Staveley and her and 20% other partnership are going to be involved in the deal, and 80% is going to be by the Saudi royal family, or certainly an individual of the Saudi royal family. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on the initial announcement that this looks like? Like I said, it's not been announced officially yet. What are your thoughts initially about the Newcastle takeover by the Saudis?
Well, it's been on the cards for quite some time, hasn't it? It seems to come and then go away again, but it seems a little bit firmer at the moment. Yeah, I welcome it, and especially for Newcastle fans, that they're obviously not happy with Mike Ashley. You know, to get rid of him, I'd imagine, is a bit like what we were like with Swales all those years ago. Yeah. So yeah, for Newcastle, it's I imagine a really exciting time. But you know, let's not. They need to have a look at this. You know, there's going to be no instant success. There's no way that he can throw money at it like what City were able to do, really, and Chelsea. You know, FFP is going to stop that happening. And if the Saudis or whoever is in charge at Newcastle are looking for instant success, it could be potentially a really challenging job as a manager. You know, you could have another Leeds or you know, Watford again. You know, sacking the managers every 5 minutes. You know, so yeah, I'm really pleased for Newcastle. I imagine it takes away that threat of relegation, which it was a nice thing when we got taken over. Was you know, there's no fear of that. But you're going into a pot with a lot of clubs with a lot of money. Not just City and Chelsea, United. You know, you've got Everton with a lot of money. Leicester, they've got a lot of money. Yeah. You know, and you look at that. With Newcastle joining in, there's about 10 teams who've got a vast amount of money. So challenging for the top four, FFP, I think, will stop them. You know, stop them. You know, challenging right at the top.
Okay, Tom. Well, I mean, there's been articles written today. Martin Samuel wrote a really decent article about the whole thing, talking about the fact that maybe with the changes to FFP that might come in after this whole coronavirus and things like that, maybe it's a perfect time for the Saudis to come in and they might be able to throw a load of money at it that, let's say, if they bought them in January, December last year, FFP would have stopped that. They would not have been able to spend 200-400 million. They just simply couldn't. It was that, you know, City were the last club that got into that elite level of being able to do it. And let's face it, we got punished for doing it. But there could be, you know, if FFP is relaxed, there could be a potential where the likes of Everton, the likes of Newcastle could invest heavily in players, Man United and others. So what are your thoughts on this whole potential takeover at Newcastle? Good thing, bad thing?
Well, when I first saw the news, I was happy for the Newcastle fans because I have a few mates who are Newcastle fans, and it's good to see them because they're a decent club. They're not arrogant. They've had their ups and downs like City have as well. And you look at some of the articles, and some of that has already been said about the Saudi owners, and it's a bit disrespectful in a way how they're describing them and stuff like that. Obviously, they might be getting a bought for around £300 million, I think it is. And like we said, we were one of the last teams with the FFP rules that just got in. I can see them being successful. It's probably a good time for him to get taken over. You know, transfer market, a lot of players will be cheaper than previous years gone by with everything that's going on. And I can see them sort of making a squad out of it and definitely fighting for some sort of place next year, maybe Europe, or maybe it's just building blocks. Like the first year we had, we finished 5th or with the main sort of guys in. So we'll just see how it goes. But fair play to him for getting the deal done, and I'm sure all the Newcastle fans will be happy that Mike Ashley's going out the door.
And my next question to Martin is if he goes out the door, because Martin Samuel was basically saying, well, hold on a second here. Mike Ashley wanted 340, 350 million. They've come in and offered 300 million. Why has this deal not been done when it's been on the table for weeks and weeks and weeks? And his argument was Ashley could quite easily sit there and go, let this run, let this run, let this run. And then when it comes to, okay, you've been satisfied under the sort of ownership rules, turn around and say, I want 350 million. I told you all along, it's 350 million. If you're not going to pay it, and and the article was basically a comment on TalkSport today by Andy Jacobs actually hit exactly the same point on the head. Was why would the Saudis grumble over a Joel Linton signing fee when they're worth when the owner is worth 7 billion himself and the actual family are worth 1.3 trillion? Why would they possibly argue over 40 million pounds? Why is it taking so long? And this is what his question was, is this, something isn't right with it. Something is not right with this, because Mike Ashley has said all along, I want 340, 350 million. Now there's this 300 million on the table. Why has this not been signed already? Will Ashley just sit back and go, I want 340, I want 350, and that is it? And if they don't pay it, Ashley can go to the Newcastle fans, well, I've done everything I can. I've given the price. They won't pay it. And who comes out of it smelling the roses? Mike Ashley said to the fans, I'm happy to walk away. They wouldn't pay it. So it seems a bit strange. What are your thoughts, Martin?
Well, this is the third time we've been at this game. Wasn't Sheikh Mansour's cousin taking these over 6 months ago? And we're at this stage of giddiness, happiness, and everything else. I mean, as you know, I've had a chat with the Magpie channel up there. They hate Mike Ashley with an absolute passion. I spoke to a fan up there who's given up season tickets and they won't step foot back in the place while Ashley's in there. It tells you what type of a guy Mike Ashley is when he did what he did over Sports Direct when everyone got told to shut down. And he argued that his gym equipment was essential for, you know, he basically had to be forced to be shut down.
Well, you know, Will, my lad, my youngest lad, he works there as a part-time job in his, part of his uni, as a part-time job in Chester. He works there, so he knows exactly what the inside of Sports Direct is like.
Everyone was a key worker all of a sudden at Sports Direct.
Exactly.
Amazing, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
If this happens, I am over the moon for Newcastle fans, especially the ones. I've been on their channel and told them that they deserve every success that I hope they get. But I would err on the side of caution that Mike Ashley, that this could be a publicity stunt at the highest order. While this is going to sound really awful now, and I don't mean it sound it the way it could sound, with everything that's going on in the world right now, this could be Mike Ashley's perfect way to try and get everyone back on side for him up there. I've had a go. Everyone's a bit down. Because trust me, I think I've been up there 2 or 3 times in the last 12 months. They're handing out flyers. They're refusing to go in. They despise the man up there. I mean, it makes what we did to Peter Swales look like a summer holiday. I'm telling you. And to Franny Lee and everything else that we went through. And I was one of them outside the main stand calling for Franny Lee out and everything else. And I just, something doesn't stick right to me. It's Sheikh Mansour, when that City deal got done, especially when you're dealing with, these Arab businessmen, they don't like to do a lot of things publicly. They like to go in very quietly and just bang, it's done.
That's what happened with City.
So we knew nothing about this. No. We woke up on that August 9 day thinking we're not going to do anything. We woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning. City would become the richest club in the world, and that's how they do it. They don't go in it's not. They don't want the newspapers and everything involved in this. So I'm just there's something not quite right. And like you said, why are they grumbling over 40 million quid when the guy's worth 7-8 billion? I'm not being funny. There's something not quite right about it for me. If it happens, brilliant. I don't think they will. I'm with Chris. I don't think they will challenge for the title because at the moment, FFP is going to stop them. They ain't going to go in.
It is in its current format. Yeah. As it stands now, it definitely will because they cannot invest 200-300 million into the squad. They can't
attract because at the moment, and that's the one thing the fans will realise. The fans that have stayed away have done it admirably, and they've done it for the right reasons. The problem is now they've not had full houses every week. They've not had that revenue coming in for the income. Now it's going to hit them on the other side now that they haven't got the FFP side.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Everton. I think Everton spent 250 odd million. Look, they bought Balassi for like 50 or 60 million. Spending the money does not guarantee you the success.
No.
And that's the thing. If it could happen to any club, I hope it is Newcastle. But they'll find out what we found out. You become everyone's second favourite club when you're not competing. As soon as you become a threat, everyone hates you then.
I mean the thing is obviously we know in the current format they can't just throw hundreds and hundreds of £1 million at players. They simply can't because they won't be able to meet FFP rules. But currently it's the Sports Direct. St James Park is Sports Direct. What if that suddenly become Saudi Airlines, or for example, and through market value 200 and 300, 400 million pounds at it suddenly?
Not allowed.
But I'm talking about now in the way things might change. After this whole thing, and football needs to get back to where it is. And let's put the even City appeal against with CAS and where they take it, in the future. They could be in a perfect position, even though currently they can't do. Next year, who knows? They could be able to throw 200-300 million at players, and I hope so. They've got a massive fan base. They are a one city club, so they've got a huge fan base, and I think Ashley's just been horrendous for them, and it's such a shame to see somebody who is despised so much and actually despises the club, because he don't like Newcastle as a club. It's just purely investment purposes, and they're not the type of owners you want at a club. We've seen it with the Glazers. Let's face it. And for what Liverpool fans say about J.W. Henry and the others, they wanted to originally furlough their staff, and suddenly uproar by the Liverpool fans, and they suddenly changed their mind. But that was only because of public pressure. We've seen the likes of Daniel Levy and Joe Lewis and what's happening at Spurs, and
they're Russian billionaires.
And they're the type of clubs, Liverpool and Spurs and Arsenal, that Martin Samuel says, do not think in the next 12 months somebody major might not come in and buy those clubs out for big money, especially FFP and everything gets changed. But anyway, we'll move on, Chris. We've seen some articles written already since Wednesday. They started Wednesday morning when this first broke, and we've seen journalists giving the usual platitudes out with regards to Saudi human rights. We've had the Khashoggi journalist killing. We've had beheadings being brought into it. We've had human rights issues. We've had all sorts of stuff thrown at the potential purchase. Do you think the journalists will be going after Newcastle fans? Let's face it, they can go after the club all they like and the owner and everything else, but ultimately, you're not going to get Saudi Royal Prince on his Twitter account replying back to journalists, are you? The only people that do it are people like us. They're the fans. Do you think they're going to be the next target for the WhatsApp group load, like Delaney, McGeechan, Rob Harris, Nick Harris, all of those lot?
I think there's definitely a possibility of that. Whether not, maybe the more successful you are, the bigger story you are. So unless Newcastle can raise up their success, then maybe not quite to that levels. But I think, you can expect. I think Newcastle fans can expect some pretty nasty headlines written about their owners, and we know it's like to be subjected to that. We're just football fans. We go to watch our football team. It's not pleasant. It's not a pleasant experience. And like Martin said, City were people's second favourite club when we were not very good.
Yeah.
Newcastle certainly were in the Keegan era. And there's a certain there's a certain romanticism about Newcastle.
Yeah.
Like say a one city club, the iconic kit, the Alan Shearers, Jackie Milburns, Peter Beardsley, those sort of players. So there is that. That won't stop these hacks from, whether it's a racist or bigoted viewpoint, but yeah, I think it will come. I think that's just the way it is. And there are that many more journalists around now. Social media provides a platform for them. And while there is nothing happening in football, this is a great opportunity for them to jump on that bandwagon. So yeah, if it goes through, I think Newcastle fans can expect a bit of a torturous time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I mean, it'll probably take some success on their behalf before they really feel the impact of the hatred that is towards Man City and City's owners and the fan base and everything else, because we didn't really get it. We got a bit of jibes and things. It was only until we became successful, winning Premier League titles, winning FA Cups and things, where it really ramped up. It absolutely went ballistic.
I think once you start upsetting the apple cart of the cartel clubs, then watch it get ramped up. So that'll be the major point for them.
Tom, interesting as you're the younger one of the three of us. Is it something that bothers your sort of age group, the dynamic of your age group? Is it something that maybe you do because of the type of courses and what you want to do in the future into sports journalism thing? Maybe you do, I don't know. But is it any discussion? I'm interested. Is there any discussions that are had around this type of thing with your mates or anything like that? Or is it just purely from your age group? Is it more about the football side of it? Do you as 16, nearly 17, do you get involved in any conversations about human rights and journalists being, kidnapped and, allegedly, I should say, killed and things like that? Is it anything you discuss, or is it not something your age group bothers with?
Well, we don't discuss it into detail, but we discuss it in a way how the respect clubs get from the media, especially. It's like we look at different articles and stuff because there's a group of us who are City fans and other football fans. We have a big group chat and we do talk about it in some detail, but not full on detail. But some of the things that are mentioned in there is the lack of respect some clubs do have for the ways they go, especially as it's a business. So yeah, there is a little bit, but not a huge amount of discussion on it now.
So it's more from the footballing aspects and things like that.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. I'm just trying to think because obviously, I look at it and I'm the opposite of you. Is the footballing side I sort of put to one side. It's when I read sort of journalistic articles from the people that I've quoted already, the likes of the Nick McGeekins, the Rob Harris, the Nick Harris, the likes of Miguel Delaney, the likes of Barney Roney, about these people who use terminology in articles which, for me, it amazes me that such a socialist sort of newspaper like The Guardian's, and this is the chief sports reporter, would use words like laughing beards, talking about the Saudis. And I'm just thinking, they've not even taken over yet. And this type of terminology is already being used in articles. And I find it absolutely amazing.
Yeah. I do look into stuff like that as a personal note. I do look into all that sort of thing like you. But with some of the lads, they might take it as a different way because there's different races and stuff. So we don't bring it up because some people aren't as mature as others at our age, so we just sort of like to keep it in the football. But I do take note into stuff like that, like you do, Andy. Yeah.
No, I mean that's absolutely fine. I was just, and so you should just be talking about football and girls and whatever else that it is that you're into, and Xbox, PS4, whatever. I just wanted to try and get a bit of an angle on is it something that the younger generation care about, or are they not bothered? Because I'm thinking about the Newcastle younger generation. Let's face it, that they're the future. Are they really bothered about the Saudis taking over, or is it the older sort of Chris's, Martin's, me, my age group? Are we the ones that are, because there's I have read a number of articles today on Twitter about Newcastle fans saying they're not happy. And there was a bit of a debate going on that I sort of jumped in and out of on Twitter today, and it was Rory Smith. If you don't know Rory Smith, he's a blue tick journo, and he wrote something about it, and I sort of jumped into it, and I was reading a lot of Newcastle fans jumping in on it, and some of them were not happy about the whole takeover. They weren't happy about it whatsoever. Yet you had others, and yet it's funny because you had City fans, like Martin said, wishing you all the luck and wait until you win some trophies, you'd be like us and things. Yet there were some Newcastle fans who were clearly the older school Newcastle fans going, I'm not happy about this whatsoever. I'm not. It doesn't sit right with me. So it's interesting, Martin. What are your thoughts? I know we'll just wrap up on the Newcastle thing, and I know this is a City fan channel, but I think it's something that's quite important to talk about because it's something that we as City fans have had to endure. Well, we had a bit of it in the early days, but I mean, certainly the last 2-3 years, it's really ramped up to a point where I think everybody on social media knows what we as City fans have faced, and we've been called rats, we've been called Manx scum, these are by journalists. This is not opposition fans. We're talking about this is language from journalists. Rats, Manx scum. We've been called, one of them was disgusting something or other. I can't remember what it was now. I can't remember who the journalist was who said that. All sorts, from the usual terminology of oil state, oil money, Arab something, state owned, blah, 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 the usual crap. So, Martin, is this what Newcastle fans will have to expect in the future?
Well, I just quickly go back to a point you just said about some Newcastle fans are already saying they're not happy with the takeover. Who is going to take over a football club then? Because there's not many people out there with a few 100 million lying around to go and buy a football club.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So you're only going to get an Arab state or somewhere like that who's going to come and buy a football club. Or you end up in the way of a United who gets bought out by someone who doesn't have the money to do it and will mortgage it against the actual football club. So you're damned if you do and damned if you don't a little bit, really. It's you always got to remember that if you want success, it will always come at a price. Always come at a price. And I've learned that now. I've come to the stage where when you're at the top, you're there to be shot at. United had it, Blackburn had it. This isn't new. Blackburn got all this. They just didn't get it in the terms of the racist sort of stand. Jack Walker got it all when they were spending the 5 million on Chris Sutton and everything else. They were buying the league. United were buying the league when they bought Gary Pallister back in 1990 and 91, whenever it was, from Middlesbrough. So this thing of buying the league is not a new thing. It's just changed from the owner being a multi-millionaire from down the road in Lancashire is now someone from further afield. So that's where the racist tones become. Now, my thing with Newcastle fans is, if it happens, enjoy the ride, but you're going to have to get some thick skin and you're going to have to just stick your chest out, put your chin up and smile away at it, because like I said, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. You're not going to win either way. We've learnt that. Like I said, we were everyone's second club. I hope City win an FA Cup. Look at that fan base. Now 20 years on, we've no fans, no history, no nothing. But 20 years ago, we had this huge fan base. So you can't win either way. It was 40,000 at Wembley against Gillingham. What an amazing fan base that is. Now we haven't got any fans and we're all Chelsea fans. So,
well, no, you are.
Well, I am. Yeah, exactly. So What's the?
You are.
You just got to smile, enjoy the ride, and get some thick skin because you're not going to win either way with it. You're not.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
you just got to. We've won a trophy. Yes, get in.
Yeah.
And enjoy
It is, and it's sometimes easy to say that, but when your club's targeting, like we've all been there, haven't we? We've read the hatred. I mean, the vitriol, the acerbic comments, the horror. I wish we all could just go, oh, soft, get lost, blah blah blah. I'm not interested, but you do. They know it, and they know how to manipulate you into, getting irate over comments and then coming back. I mean, it's like today, the Barney Roney thing, in the Guardian, and I'm sure the comments was done purely going, well, that's not racist, but somebody will think it's racist, and then it will generate the debate, and before you know it, we're all involved and things like that, and that's what they do. And
snowball quickly.
And what's been said so far is absolutely nothing compared to what's potentially coming if it all goes through for Newcastle.
The difference is, though, Andy, we get it from everyone at the moment. We're not just getting it from the journalists. We get it from UEFA, from every other club. Yeah. Wait till Newcastle have got the top 10 clubs writing in to get City banned from Europe. Just they don't have a clue what's coming at the moment. They haven't got a clue.
Well, I mean, I wish them well. I must admit, I'd rather have an owner coming in, investing money into the club and keeping the club secure than somebody who leverages £500-600 million worth of debt against the club and is only solar. I mean, which is, I don't know. I mean, I'm not getting into the human rights issues of countries and things like that, because let's face it, we sell through BAE. We sell hundreds of millions of pounds worth of arms to Saudi Arabia every single year. So, let's face it, who are we to talk about that type of stuff? So, but anyway, I wish the Newcastle fans well. I hope it goes through for you. Whether it will or not, we'll wait and see. But like the guys have said here, you better get thick skin. And you might think right now, I don't care. It's all about just let us win something. Wait until you win something. And then they're absolutely writing articles about how you shouldn't have done and things like that. I mean, it's one of those. It's a vicious circle. You won't win in the end.
Away games. In Crisco.
Yeah. It is what it is. But listen, we'll wait and see. And we'll wait and see what happens with the Newcastle takeover. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the Premier League today. Have announced, well, have they announced anything? But we'll talk about what the Premier League have announced today. This is being obviously Friday, the 17th of April, and they've had their meeting today. Probably. But we'll be back. Tune in. We'll be back for the next part. Hi, guys. We're back for the second part and the second question. We were just having a bit of a laugh off camera there. We won't discuss that particular thing. But the next question I want to ask the guys on the Friday Night Social is obviously today there's been a meeting of the Premier League clubs that we've been waiting for. And there has been an announcement, not much of an announcement, nothing drastic, but there has been a couple of other comments that have been made by not only the Premier League, but by UEFA. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to very quickly read through just to make sure everyone's in the loop as what's been said today. This I'm going to take from an article by Jamie Jackson. And it says, Premier League clubs have discussed resuming the season on the weekend of the 13th to the 14th of June after UEFA wrote to domestic associations stating a desire they should finish their competitions by the 31st of July to leave August clear for the completion of the Champions League and Europa League. So basically, what's happened is UEFA have wrote to domestic leagues in Europe saying that they want their competition to be completed. They're obviously, where we are in the season and everything else with regards to the Europa League and Champions League, they want it to be absolutely clear so they can make sure that theirs is finished in in August, by August, so that they can finish theirs. The letter from European football's governing body formed the basis of a 2-hour conference call on Friday that explored how the Premier League may be concluded. Whilst any resumption is being modelled on matches occurring behind closed doors, guiding the decision-making is the overriding principle that the National Health Service's ability to treat those with COVID-19 should not be compromised. And that is to be at ease with the top flight restarting. This means the Premier League wants the NHS to give the go-ahead, and so the Health Service has the power to veto, which I think is really, really interesting, whether they're throwing everything onto the NHS or the government. Let's face it, the NHS are not going to be really interested in whether football resumes or not. It's going to be the government. In the best case scenario, clubs would have a pre-season from the 10th or the 14th of May. Now, we know as of yesterday, which was the 16th of April, that we are definitely in lockdown for another 3 weeks, which takes us to around about the 10th of May. So it says that the best case scenario is clubs would have a pre-season from the 10th to the 14th of May, giving players 4 weeks to regain fitness, with the minimum they would need to set at 2 weeks. If training began 3 or 4 weeks before the weekend of the 13th and 14th of June, the opening days may feature players training individually or in small groups to ensure the best protection before squads work together as normal. Protocols devised by the Premier League and club doctors and signed off by the requisite bodies would have testing at the forefront. Testing at the forefront. This is something that we don't have at the moment. We don't have it at the moment, and would be in place to try and ensure a safe return to games. Those at matches, players, club officials, staff, security and media would all have to be tested, and there would have to be procedures to address the prospect of large groups of fans gathering outside of stadiums. UEFA's wish is that the Champions League and Europa League should each recommence from the week of Monday the 3rd of August, and the final of the former being staged on the 29th of August, and that of the latter to be played a few days before. So you're looking at the 26th, 27th of August for the Europa League final, the 29th in Istanbul for the Champions League final. If the Premier League was to restart on the 13th of June, which is a Saturday, it would allow 7 weeks to finish the season, as 16 clubs have 9 matches left, and Manchester City, Sheffield United, Villa and Arsenal have 10. The time frame would appear to be long enough for the campaign to be finished comfortably. It's understood the Premier League is conscious of a worst-case scenario given the unpredictability of coronavirus and how long it may take to tackle it. The pessimistic view is that no football can resume until around October, 7 months after the last round of matches. So what they're basically, just to recap, they're saying is that the Premier League could discuss resuming the season on the weekend of the 13th to the 14th of June. This is after UEFA wrote to domestic European leagues with telling them their desire of when European football should be resumed, in their opinion, and they want it to be completed by the 27th for the Europa League final and the 29th for the Champions League final. So the 13th to the 14th of June, and the talk is that full training or training of sorts would resume from the 10th to the 14th of May. So, Chris, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's huge, isn't it? The whole debate.
I'm not asking. I'm not.
No.
I'm not wanting answers, because there are no right and wrong answers in this one. I mean, it's a minefield.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great term for it. It really is. Today's decision, or deferring of a decision, what else could they do? Who are they to say in 3 weeks' time that it's okay for footballers to go back training and stuff like that? It's just, we've seen the numbers of people who are dying, and this isn't just in England or in Britain. This is around the whole of Europe. I don't. Oh God, don't swear. But what are UEFA? what are they doing? This has shown me, as it has shown you. I've heard you speak about this, Andy. There are no morals in football. This is all about money, all about glory, and people's lives seem to be, well, people are going to die anyway, aren't they? So, and that's how it feels. It feels there's, they say there's players' contracts to consider, which is a massive thing. Is a huge thing, the fitness levels of players, they've been off for a long time now, as probably as long as they get in a normal end of season, and that's going to extend that even longer, and playing behind closed doors, I don't like the idea of that anyway. I think that just takes away from football. There's a massive thing to playing at home, and for teams who've played away matches at competitors for, say, relegation and stuff, aren't going to have that advantage. And also, let's not forget that there's people who have this virus who show no symptoms, and they can pass that on without any malice whatsoever. They have no idea they've got it. And we might have a fit young manager in Pep Guardiola, but Crystal Palace haven't got a young manager. There are people in the football world who will be there, who are far more vulnerable to this than. And we've only had to look at what happened to Norman Hunter today. He was 76. Roy Hodgson's 71, 72, something like that. There's people involved in football clubs who are more vulnerable than others. And we have to protect those people as much as we protect any vulnerable person, UEFA need to give their heads a wobble. This is the most sensible thing to say is we finish the seasons now. Now, if that's Liverpool getting the Championship, then fine. Give it to them. I don't give a stuff. Let's show a bit of, let's see some morals and some real leadership from them. I'm disgusted with them. I really am.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting because it's like my point of, and I've said it so many times, and I'm yet to get one journalist, not one single journalist will reply to me, not one. And I've said it, and I'm fed up with saying it. I'm going to keep saying it on Twitter, and I'm going to keep repeating it and repeating it and repeating it. But I do feel like I'm like a broken record on Twitter. I ask the same question over and over again in every single Twitter debate, and I keep saying, well, after today's statement that they are looking at the 10th to the 14th of June for players to resume training, pre-season training, in light of going back in June to finish the season in time for UEFA to complete theirs, blah, 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 blah. Does that mean that we, as businesses, we can resume our business on the 10th to the 14th of May? I've not been told that we can do that. Nobody said anything I've said to people. Nobody's ever said, oh, yeah, you can. Yeah, well, let's discuss going back flying. Let's go back, discuss training pilots. Let's go back to doing everything we did before safely. We can do that in 3 weeks. We can do that. The government's never told me I'm allowed to do that.
Can I have a cup of coffee then?
Where is the exemption from the Premier League coming from to do this? I'd love to know, and I've asked every single journalist, from Jonathan Northcroft. I've asked the same question to Jonathan, who's a friend of the channel, somebody we've interviewed, and I've asked every single other journalist, and not one single person has ever replied to me with an answer to it. Because the simple fact is, the government haven't given the Premier League an exemption, or if they have, I'd like to know about it as a business owner, why I can't go back to my business as normal on the 10th to the 14th of May, like the footballers can. Why are they so different?
Do you know what I think they're going to say? Sorry, Jimmy, do you know what I think will be said about it? This will be, in my eyes, this will be spun in a, let's get everyone being positive. Let's get everyone smiling. Let's make that football. That's how this will be spun by the government, in my eyes.
Like I said to Ian Cheeseman when I spoke to him last week, I said, You know what? Because Ian asked the question on his brilliant podcast that he's asking loads of people. He said, would it not be, and he was only sitting on the fence because it's not his opinion. He don't think it should be behind closed doors. He's really opposed to it. You only have to read his tweets. He's absolutely fundamentally opposed to it being played behind closed doors. But he said, playing devil's advocate, would it not boost the morale? Because that's one argument. And I said to him in my direct message, you know what would boost morale? Getting people back to work, and getting people getting an income, getting people going back and interacting, but getting people to be able to go and put their arms around their family members, their mothers, their fathers, giving them a hug, making sure they're okay because they haven't seen them except for through a window. That is what would boost morale, not football behind closed doors. Not for me anyway.
No, that's all I want to do. I'd love to take my lad to go and hug his grandma.
Of course.
I'm sick of taking him. Before we were locked in, I had to take him to the front window on Mother's Day and everything like this. We were locked in on Mother's Day and everything else. People need to realise. I'll just go off for a big rant again, like I did earlier, because it really upsets me and annoys me so much that people are thinking with their back pocket rather than thinking with their heads.
Well, organisations are.
Yeah.
Maybe not individuals, but maybe organisations.
About the pre-season trade, we'll call it pre-season, shall we? When are they going to play games then? Because they're going to need games to warm up. You can't just roll them out into a competitive game and go. Doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You have to have 4 and 5 pre-season tournaments, unless we're now saying then every single pre-season we normally have, they're just money.
Yeah,
but they're not, are they?
Saying that.
Yeah.
Well, I know the money, but that's what they're now confirming that. Because they're really saying you don't need to have pre-season friendlies, really.
Okay, some good points there, Martin. But Tom, what are your thoughts on it?
Well, like Martin said, talking about families and stuff. I know I've got my granddad, like I said earlier, and the only thing I'm bothered about, I'm not bothered about football at this point. I'd rather make sure we all get back to normality before football starts again. Obviously, you guys have got jobs, so yours is a slightly different situation to me. But I'm obviously going back into any education till September because I'm going into sixth form. So this is just a waiting game for me. So for me, I'd just like for the Premier League to think with the hearts and not the back pocket. I know it's going to be hard for them to do that because they're a business out there and every business wants to make profits. But Premier League is known as one of the biggest leagues in the world. It's on the football pitch. They need to man up and they need to show the class like the players and clubs have in supporting the public. That's what I think about it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, good points. Chris, you wanted to come in there?
Yeah, well, I wonder, if UEFA, again, I think they are guided by the cartel clubs anyway when it comes to FFP issues. Now, I wonder how much value has come off clubs like Manchester United with this coronavirus pandemic. And, is what I heard on the radio, it wasn't so much Sky and BT over here who were the ones who want the games to be played. They kind of accept that, what's going on. It's the international TV companies who want what they paid for. So, the world's going to change after all this, definitely. And how the people who lend the money, are they going to have a different standpoint to how they were before? And now we know United are in debt, a lot of debt, but they can service it. We know they can. But look at Spurs. I think Spurs are the second most in debt club in Europe. Yeah. And they don't have what Manchester United have. They don't have that global appeal. I'm not saying they're a small club, not by any means, but I wonder how much that. I don't know anything about all this sort of thing. I'm not a financial expert at all, but I wonder how much that is being is guiding them to where they. We've got to finish this season. We need that money to come in. If that money doesn't come in, we're going to the wall.
Well, I mean, it's a point. I mean, I spoke to Martin this morning, and I messaged Martin to say. I mean, there was the obviously there's the talk of There is the Big Six who want the, allegedly, and this is allegedly, we haven't got this from any of the Big Six, this is solely articles that are in the papers this morning. The Big Six want it to be finished because obviously last season, if you didn't know, there was a renegotiation on the TV deals by the Big Six to say we deserve more of a cut than we've had before because we're the ones that are mainly bringing in the TV and international revenue. So they agreed to that. So this season, those Big Six were going to get a bigger financial cut of the TV revenue. But there are 9 other clubs who are potentially opposed to finishing the season and going through it. Now, you can imagine who those clubs are. The likes of your Norwiches and others. Of course they don't want the season. Of course they don't. And that's absolutely fair. Your Leicester, if it finished right now, are guaranteed Champions League football next season. So you've got those clubs that have got their own vested interest in this whole thing anyway. Now, if it comes to a voting system, and this is what I said to Martin this morning, was if it comes to a voting thing of, 6 big six, want it to be finished and there's 9 others and they need X amount of votes. What if there was an agreement of giving those people, clubs, directors, owners, whatever, a little bit of extra cash to say, let's get it finished. We'll subsidise you. We'll give you another 20, 30 million quid because it's worth 100 million for us. So we can all chip in and give you 30, 40 million, no problem whatsoever. Would that swing the vote to make sure that it gets finished?
Yeah, but
this is what I mean. There's this whole dilemma of the Big Six versus the others and the voting system, and outside of that, you're absolutely right, Chris, because we know the Sky have already said that the 371 million that is due, they're quite happy to potentially hold off on asking for that back, and that'll be integrated in the next few years' contract. But that's only a small chunk of the international revenue, and it might be them that go now, unless they all come together and make a decision on this. It's a mess. It's a warring faction between everybody's self-interest.
About 2 weeks ago, wasn't it Burnley who were very close to going under?
I think there are loads of clubs. When I spoke to the guys in Australia, the Melbourne Blues, and I was talking to them about Bournemouth. 80% or something very close to that of their revenue is reliant on TV revenue. Now, if they're not getting TV revenue income, the chances are they could quite easily go bust. Quite easily. Very, very easily.
I just find
you've got what is the overriding factor in decision making here?
Yeah. Is it going to be people's safety, or is it?
Of course, of course it is. And as a business owner, if you've got 2,000 staff, which 50 of them are players, academy players, professional players, but then you've got 500 others who are, the people who service the ground and the people who do. You are, as a business owner, responsible for them. And you are so there's a whole thing of that is a weight on business. I know you might look at business football owners as harsh bloody idiots who live in America, but not all are the JW Henrys, your Sheikh Mansours. Some of them are British born and bred business owners who have invested in a club but have relied heavily on being in the Premier League, staying in the Premier League and selling a little bit of their soul to the TV revenue. And suddenly now all of a sudden out of this unique situation, because let's face it, if this didn't come around, they'd be in a very good, comfortable position getting 80, 100 million quid, which is easily sustainable for a Bournemouth or a Burnley. Yeah. Now that suddenly could be taken away in an instant. Oh my Lord, this is our whole worst case scenario come true.
You know what worries me? I have one big worry here. We go out and we restart. One person catches this virus again, because there's no guarantee that this virus ain't going to go away tomorrow.
Well, somebody's already apparently, allegedly, if it's true, has caught it 3 times.
So do we end up? What worries me is, and maybe I'm going down the conspiracy theory route, and I apologise if you think that, but
Don't say 5G masts.
yeah,
David Knight.
one person gets it. We go out, we play a load of games, and one person gets it. Are they going to do what they did with the Mikel Arteta situation and try and fob us off? Because let's be honest, it came out in the light to why the Arsenal game got postponed, because we talked about it. Why is it suddenly postponed? It later came out Mikel Arteta had already tested positive. He'd already got it. They just couldn't say anything because they knew that was the one domino that was going to flip the whole league to stop. They knew that, but they couldn't say it. Now we know that now, and what worries me is, are they gonna put people's lives at risk just for the money to restart? And what worries me is, if one person gets it, it'll get swept away, put very quietly, and we just keep going and keep going. And then you've got the other question: when do we restart the next season? Because if that's August, I'm sorry, people will. Are we saying the world's opening up? Then we can go on holiday, we can fly out, we can do all this. Well, I'm not being funny. It's July and August. People, especially now, if we're opening again, people are going to go away on the holidays with the families. They ain't going to be giving a monkeys about a football game. So you're going to get no one there. People are going to lose interest in it. And my only worry, when do we restart? Then October, November, and then you just domino in it. There's just so many things that you've got to look at before.
There is.
And then you've got, like you said, the bloody contract situation. Because, like I said today, they can't legally make players stay. And like I know it was worst case scenario. But Bravo, Carson get injured, someone else does. What happens then?
Yeah, I mean it is an absolute mess, and that was why 3-4 weeks ago I made that video saying my own opinion. It's only my opinion, was they should have just null and voided it then. Made everyone play when it's safe on the same points, and nobody then loses out, and we just have another sort of extended. It's almost like an extended season. Then everything is up for grabs: the Premier League title, the relegation, the Championship, whatever. It's all still available, and the clubs all club together, and they help everybody out to sustain it. But no, it's just become an absolute tangled mess of what's in it for me.
You've got all the kit. You've got all the kit suppliers yet that go roll out the new kits when they all end.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's something you came out with today, and it's like I messaged you this morning, and I said to you, well, hold on a minute. We've got players now being derided by government officials and things for not accepting to take a 30% cut when they're not. But what you've got then is the fact of, let's say you're a Kevin De Bruyne, or you're a Raheem Sterling, or you're a Marcus Rashford, or you're whoever, take a 30% pay cut for 12 months, or a deferral rather than a pay cut, a deferral for 12 months. Well, what if your club goes and spends 250 million quid on transfers in the summer, whenever it's opened? Hold on a minute. I'm taking a 30% pay cut, but you're spending 250 million quid on 2 players, and I'm having to take a 30% pay cut for 12 months. I mean, it's like this. I know there is no simple answer. I know that. It's just an absolute mess. I mean, Tom, go on, mate. I know you're dying to come in.
Yeah. And then you've got your next argument is, in the next 2 years, you've got your European Championships and your World Cup. And then that's the next round. Because if you delay the next season, 2021 season, you've got your Euros to worry about. And then if they delay it and the Euros is in doubt, then you've got your World Cup the year after. And it'll just keep rolling and rolling on until it just gets worse and worse.
Well, it does. I mean, my biggest point in all of this is, we go back to absolute basics, is that why are we in lockdown? Why are we, and you're all shaking your heads here, Chris is shaking his head, why are we in lockdown, and why are we all looking at videos of Westminster Bridge last night with people next to each other and everyone's mortified about it? Why are we mortified about it? Because what we're saying is, well, you could be the next NHS patient. You could be the next. We're trying to slow this spread. We're trying to plateau it. We're trying to get over that curve. We're trying to get so that everyone's lives can go back to normal. would the sensible option not be, I tell you what, let's just cut it. Let's just get everyone back to normal, and then let's resume. And whatever happens when it resumes, we'll deal with it then.
Yeah.
We'll make a decision as a collective in Europe of UEFA, whoever, blah, 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 the Premier League, the Scottish League, the French League, whatever. When we know we're all coming out of it now, we can all collectively get together, make a combined effort and go, right, we can cross borders so we can play the European competition as normal. We can travel on a plane, we can travel on a train, we can travel in cars. The general public can come back and watch football again. Because if not, then what is it really all about?
Money.
True.
And how abhorrent is that?
Mm-hmm.
It's sad.
Yeah, exactly, Tom. How appalling does that make you feel about football? As much as you've had your suspicions and feelings, and I've had them for years about everything, money and everything else, and players' wages. But now, what we're talking about is lives. It's money over lives, and when you are crossing that line, that's a whole different world. That's a whole different game. And that really says to me, football, for me, like I said, is getting further and further away. I mean, I'm getting further and further away from football, and I'm becoming to despise it. I despise the powers that be.
So don't be saying that on a fan channel.
Well, listen. Hey, listen. If it keeps going, we will not have a fan channel, because I will certainly, if it gets to that point, I will just stop, because I certainly won't be going to watch games. I certainly won't be investing my time, my money into football. I will just pull away. I have, as much as I love my club for, 43 years ago, I went to my first game. I would have no problems whatsoever walking away from this, because it's made me, to my core, absolutely disgusted to my core, the way that this has gone about, and I find it repulsive. I really do.
Gary Neville made a really good point today. Well, the one I read out was UEFA want to do his Champions League final in August, aren't they? Over in Istanbul. So say it's behind closed doors. You will get fans trying their hardest to get to Istanbul.
Without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, let's face it.
What are they going to do about
that? The only saving grace is Liverpool fans won't be there.
And the next one.
That's the only saving grace, because you know what Liverpool fans are like for going for Europe. And please, Liverpool fans, that is not a slight on you. It's probably bigging you up, because you know what Liverpool fans like. They keep telling us there's 8 million of them go to Istanbul, and they've been to here, and 8 million of them have traveled there. So I'm sure if it's only little old city, they won't be anywhere near that going to try and get there. But
we'll only take 50.
What's that?
50.
Yeah,
we're only going to take 50 fans. Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, but listen, it's 100 people.
Exactly.
Still, what are they going to do? Are they going to line up the police borders? Yeah, come on.
Well, hold on a minute. This is the irony of it, is that if we are clapping for our NHS on Westminster Bridge, stood right next to somebody and the police are there and don't do anything about it, what they're going to do about 2,000-3,000 fans travelling to a football stadium? Are they going to do anything about that? And how long would it take to disperse? And how many resources would it take away from what's needed to disperse a group of that many? And how many injuries and ambulances and everything else? I mean, this is the thing. It's madness. It's absolute. One thing I will say before we move on to the final sort of golden question is, I implore everybody to go and look at, if you're not on Twitter, go on Twitter. This is Matt Ford. Okay, Matt Ford is a journalist, German football and fan culture, for the Sportsman, and he's from Manchester, but he's based in North Rhine in Westphalia. But if you want to follow him, he's called Matt Ford, MATT FORD, and his Twitter account is at Matt MATT _ 4 the number 4 D. So at Matt MATT _ the number 4 D. Go and follow him and go and read it. I have retweeted it this morning. And it's about quarantine for football. Games behind closed doors are not a solution. And it's a massive, big German swathe of fans now. You know what the Germans are like taking over football and decision making. And it's a massive, big movement to say under no circumstances should football be played behind closed doors without fans. Under no circumstances. So go over, and if you've not found that, you can also look at Aviation Blue. I've retweeted it today, this morning, 8 hours ago. So I don't know whenever it was, 3 o'clock this afternoon. And it's definitely worth a look, and definitely follow them and give them your comments below. But anyway, that's the end of part 2, all about the Premier League sort of half-hearted, whatever you want to call it, decision today. But anyway, next, what we're going to be doing is going to be moving on to the final question, which is the golden one. So we'll be back in a minute. Hi guys, so we're back now for the final question, which as usual is the golden question. And it's a question all the guests get to ask, and they can ask anything they want. But mainly it's football related, and I'm going to start with Tom. So you're going to go first tonight.
Right. So I was thinking, after reading an article from the Italian FA's chairman, would you, as a fan, accept the Premier League and the Champions League being played next season and scrapping the other 3 domestic cups?
Oh, so you want us to scrap the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, but in favour of playing the Europa League and the Champions League?
Yes, and the big reason I say that is because there's not as many games, and well, there is sort of is, but if you add it all up, there's not as many games, and they can fit it in because it's midweeks and weekends. So yeah, I was just thinking of it that way, because obviously we've got the Euros in the summer as well. So rather than delaying it even more, maybe doing that.
It's an interesting question, because I'm not sure. Do the Italians only have 1 cup? I think the Premier League are one of the only ones who have 2 cup competitions. So, of course, if they drop one for another, it's easy for them, I'm guessing, than it would be for dropping the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. But interesting question. Okay, Chris, I'm going to come to you first on that one. What's your thoughts? Dropping English domestic cups or any domestic cups in the Europe just solely for the Europa?
Yeah, it could be for any league, but I was just
focusing
yeah. So whatever, yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm sure because I'm only assuming that I'm sure the Premier League won't go, oh, we'll drop ours, but France and everyone else can have theirs. They'd all have to drop them. Chris, what would you go for, domestics or Champions League, Europa League? Not that we have anything to do with the Europa League, obviously.
Well, we don't have to do any European football next year. I don't know, mate. I really can't. The Carabao Cup, as successful as we've been in it, if that wasn't played for a season, I wouldn't be overly bothered about it. But the FA Cup, for me, is really important competition. I wouldn't want to see that dropped. But it might have to happen to get things done. Yes, I would drop the Carabao Cup, but not the FA Cup, I'm afraid. I mean, I'm a bit older than you are, Tom, and the FA Cup has a massive traditional value for me. Andy will remember this well. In the 70s and 80s, the FA Cup wasn't just a 3 o'clock kickoff for a couple of hours, was it? It was all day.
8 o'clock in the morning, you got up and it was on telly. The whole coaches at the hotel interviewing players and the whole.
Yeah, multicoloured swap shop would be on for like half an hour, and
absolutely.
And it'd be straight into. They had the mastermind sort of stuff, didn't they?
It was a whole day.
Yeah, it was, and
Des Lynam, didn't you? Introducing it.
Even way before Des Lynam. You know,
it was.
I'm just showing my age.
That's your age. Yeah. No, it was. No, I agree. It was, and that's something I must admit. When you talk about, I'll be quite happy to drop the Carabao. I actually prefer the Carabao Cup at the moment than I do the FA Cup. But I just wish it was like it used to be when we were kids, where there was such a massive thing made of it.
Absolutely.
Certainly cup final day.
Yeah, it was huge, wasn't it? And I really miss that it's not that given that same. And then it all seems to stem from that season when United didn't compete. Now I'm not wanting to blame United on this, but from that point onwards, it seemed to devalue it. And I still love the FA Cup. I really, really do, and I wouldn't want to see that go. I don't want to see the Carabao Cup go either. But we are in such a unique situation.
The problem being, though, and this is the thing, Chris, is that you just said you drop one, and you don't want to see you're happy to drop the Carabao Cup but keep the FA Cup. But under Tom's question, we would have to drop both because the European leagues only tend to have one. Yeah. So we would have to drop both competitions solely for the Champions League or Europa League.
Yeah, and I guess this boils all back down to money. That it is the fact that the leagues are where the money's at more than the cups are. So you cannot sort of expect football teams who are really reliant on TV cash to be throwing away that kind of revenue. So yes, I would be open to that. I would be really disappointed not to have an FA Cup, going on.
Okay, Martin.
So that was the longest way of getting to yes I've ever heard that.
It was great to reminisce though.
It was, yeah. It was like watching me dad and me granddad having a chat then, that. Remember in the good old days?
You cheeky bastard.
Warburton's music. Remember the old Warburton's music coming in?
You wait for my question to you then.
And if we get rid of him, I'm going to look at this from a different perspective. I'd drop the European competitions.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why, because domestic ones are more important. And every single Liverpool and United fan and everyone else is going to be putting in the comments right now because you've never won it, this, that and the other, and every other thing they put in with it. But I think Liverpool have learnt this year, bread and butter means everything. Winning that league at home is your bread and butter. And for me, I've got another way of spinning it. What you said, every competition goes. So you're including the also windscreen trophies, it used to be called, the auto VARs. What about these these lower league clubs that depend on that depend on getting through to Wembley? That's their big day out. What have these lower league clubs got them to play for?
They'll still be in. I'm on about the guys who are playing in Europe mainly. The lower league clubs can still play.
Because I thought,
well, I mean, if that's the case, then you're talking about the rounds of when the Premier League comes in. That would be dismissed, and it would be more for Championship, League One, League Two, National League, Conference, blah blah blah. They can still play that, but the main is that what you're intimating?
Yeah, so they could still go ahead these competitions, but just not for the guys who are in Europe.
Right.
Oh, right. Okay. So it's that's a different question, because what you're saying is it
all goes into one.
So if you're in the Champions League spots or the top 6, 7 potentially, they are dismissed from the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, etc. It's only
if that makes it easier to answer.
That makes it 10 times harder.
Why scrap what they've been told? Why don't we scrap FA Cup replays? Why don't we scrap? I know if you're looking at it just for one season, because I want the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, because one thing I've learned, people say it's the Mickey Mouse Trophy. I've enjoyed winning it 3 years on the way. So I'm sorry, but
it's a great competition.
Because Andy says it. I tell you what, it doesn't half give you a boost in February. And if you look, every time we've won it the last 2 or 3 years, that's the bit. That's the catalyst that has got us over the line to win the league. Because getting that trophy fills you with confidence and it gives you the boost you need to go, do you know what? Right, the last 15 games, let's do it. And City are built on it every single time. You look every time we won the league, apart from the Centurion season, we've been behind come April. As soon as we win that trophy, end of February, March, we go on a run then, and we hit it. So to me, bread and butter is more than I get rid of the European trophies personally for a season.
Okay, I'm with Martin. I can't. I have no interest in the Champions League. I have no interest in the European competitions whatsoever. I've said it for years, and I'll keep saying it until it goes back to its original format, where it was like the old European Cup, where it was literally the winners of every league played against each other. The winners, not some crappy fourth team play. It's like how is this a Champions League? They're not champions because the people who finished fourth. You only have to look at the final last year. Spurs versus Liverpool. Neither had won. I think combined was 85, 86 years. Neither of them had won a combined. In those years, had won a Premier League title or a title and things like that.
They've won the European Cup 1,000 times. Don't forget that.
But I mean, for me, until it goes back to its original format, which I don't think it will ever go back to, because we've got the European Super League and everything else that's potentially, and I think will happen in the next 12 months to 2 years.
Another money-making scheme.
Yeah, exactly. For me, I have. Well, obviously, City in the second leg against Real Madrid of the last 16. Of course, I'm interested in it because while we're in it, but as a concept, I just don't like it. I don't like it, and it's not necessarily about UEFA, and that's a side issue. I just don't like. I've never liked the concept of calling it a Champions League when, somebody who is finished fourth in a league could potentially win a Champions League, calling it a Champions League trophy. It's nonsense for me.
In Europe and in England.
Yeah, and it takes too long. It takes too long. So I'd rather have it. You know what? I'd rather have the Carabao Cup, the FA Cup, and just the champions of each league all compete, and you could fit that in quite easily.
You could.
There'd be no issues. The problem we have is we've got 4 teams in every group, and we've got to play each other twice, and all that nonsense. It's all a money-making scheme, and let's face it, half of the matches are crap. They are absolutely crap. They are terrible to watch. The amount of Champions League football I've watched at the Etihad, and half of, 50% of them are dire, just boring games. They really are.
I have to give credit to Dynamo Zagreb last year, though. This season, they were just entertaining off the pitch.
Well, yeah. So for me, no. I mean, I'd stick, if you gave me the choice of both, I'd stick with domestic cup competitions and until they actually change the format.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hiya.
Hello.
Hiya.
You all froze for me then.
Oh, did you? I bet that was deep joy for you.
That was like effect you have on people.
Statues.
Yeah. We were all amazed at your beautiful young 21-year-old face. We froze in amazement. Anyway, we'll come on to Chris. Chris, your golden question.
Okay, mine's going to be a bit lighter and all that is really. So last week, Joe Royle turned 71, and it got me to thinking, that he's probably the last manager that I really had an affinity to, a real kind of. Yeah. This guy understands City. I know he played for us in the 70s as well, but he termed the phrase Cityitis and all this sort of stuff. And so I wanted to know for you guys, and it can be a manager if you want it to be, but players as well. Who was the last person or player that you had a real sort of affinity to? And I'm not talking about you love him because he's a great player, but as a person, you thought he really gets it.
Oh, that's a really good question.
That is a good question.
That's a really good question. Okay, I'll go to Martin first.
Uwe Rosler.
Okay, why?
Because if there was ever a guy who's come in from, let's be honest, nowhere, because have we really heard of Uwe Rosler before that, and absolutely took on board what Manchester City is all about. You just look, you look at his kids. He's named them after Colin Bellingham.
Yeah,
he never says a bad word about the club. Yeah, I remember he came back as Wigan manager and they beat us in the FA Cup, and I think it was on ITV, as I remember, because I was at the game, but come back and I record every game because I'm one of these. I have to record the game because when you're watching it on TV and when you're watching it live, it's like watching two different games sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I listened to his interview afterwards, and they were, "Are you overjoyed? Are you great?" I've never seen a manager more somber about beating Manchester City than him. He gets it. I remember being at Wembley in '99. The guy was at the bottom of the steps with a bottle of beer in his hand. I can't remember what it was, and he had everyone singing, and he joined in, and he was just there as a fan. And it was like, wow, he's just come, and he is going to be a Blue forever, and you can just tell it.
That's a good shout. It's one he did spring to mind for me as well. I'll have to think of somebody different. Okay, no, good shout that. Tom, I know it's a little bit different for you, but
just before I start, Martin, my dad would 100% agree with you on that one. He loves the guy.
There you go.
He loves
there you go.
So he definitely agree with you on that one. For me, obviously.
Oof.
So, anyway, for me, obviously, I've not got as much years as you guys in supporting the club, but Roberto Mancini, for me, it's just the pride and the passion, wearing the blue and white scarf around his neck every single game. I just loved him, and I was growing up then, sort of getting much more like into football, mature, and he was just a legend. And how he went out. When he got sacked, how he went out and he had that massive page on the MEN the day after he left with all the thank you City. Yeah. And to this very day, he says that 2012 title win was his best moment in his career. So for me, it's Bobby Mank.
Another good shout. It is a very good shout. God,
Sorry, Andy, we've just taken your top two, haven't we?
Sir Bobby Mank wasn't. I must admit, he wasn't.
All right.
Uwe Rosler was going to be one, definitely. He was actually right up there. But I'm trying to think of the likes of Andy Morrison for me, and even now the likes of Sean Goater,
Kevin Horlock.
I mean, you look at likes of Ian Bishop, and they still have this absolute mad passion. And I know that those players were at the Gillingham game '99, and I understand that might be the thing that draws them back so much. But I think it's more. I think it's more than that. I think it's a real. I don't know. It's like this real. When you hear them speak, it's rarely always about that game. With those players, it's not just. It's almost like the board of talking about the '99. And I saw on Cheese's vlog there was Nicky Weaver talking about it, and he was almost like a little bit. Yeah, but you've also got to remember that there was other things that was happening and things, and I think those type of players are ones that even though something monumental happened, it was much more than that. And you've got the likes of Sean Goater and that affinity to Main Road and that, that last derby game and the goal again, when he dispossessed Gary Neville and everything else. So for me, I would have took Uwe Rosler probably as my top one. I must admit, I did love Rosler, but I'll go for two others. I'll go for Sean Goater and Andy Morrison, because you never. They would be ones that if somebody posted something, they use the crap they post on Twitter, and they went, if you had to go into a fight against anybody, who would you want in your corner? Well, certainly Andy Morrison is
Can I ask a
definitely
question?
one.
Just because
If it was City, if it was City versus somebody else, I'd want Andy Morrison definitely right with me.
Yeah.
Preferably in front of me rather than behind me. But I mean,
this is all because Andy Morrison's retweeted him. This is all what it is because Andy Morrison's tweeted him back.
no, it's not. I know it's not. Honestly, it's not.
I'm joking.
You know, it's not. I mean, it's hard. I mean, like I said, I named, you know, like Bish and Kevin Horlock and players like that. And I really believe that, you know, there were other players in that team that I've met. I met last year at charity matches and things and spoke about the 99 game and things like that. But I think those players just have there's something that's grabbed them, and it's not just that moment. It's not just that game.
I was say on that. Do you want to know what it is? And not a lot of people, we know it. I think it was because they're the ones that have started this road for us. That was our comeback in a way. And I don't mean it to sound really. This is going to sound disrespectful, and I don't want to mean it in a way. And I don't. Please, Man United fans, don't take this in the way that this could come out. But in my eyes, they are, in our way, they are our Busby Babes in a way. For me, in my era, because I watched a documentary. It was on Sky ages ago, and apparently, if we hadn't got promoted then, there'd have been no Eastlands.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
We would have we were borderline on the verge of bankruptcy. That game was a lot more than just getting promoted back to the Championship as it is now. That was the rebirth in a way of Manchester City. That was just, and I think from my standpoint anyway, you know, as you got told, you know, I was there as a 16-year-old, which now tells you how old I really am back in 99. I was a 16-year-old.
Like we ever believed he was 21.
Yeah, I'm always working that out. Just go and watch the Everton game, and an old mate of mine will tell you he just give the game away anyway. Andy knows. He's smiling. He was there. You know, I had me hair. I stayed. We're not going anywhere, and I think it was just literally you felt something bigger, and then we got promoted afterwards. That team was just spirit. It was like you said. That's what Joe Royle gave. Yeah. It was literally the old Joe Royle Dogs of Wars attitude from Everton. We go with it, and maybe it's just that team, but in my eyes, and I don't mean it disrespectfully, they are our Busby Babes in my eyes because they rebirthed Manchester City in my eyes.
I don't think anyone would take that. I mean, if anyone takes that in the wrong way, then they're fucking stupid. If I'm being honest, because it's an analogy of the feeling fans of a generation felt at a time. It's nothing to do with spirits and things. It's purely how a team made you feel at a certain given time.
It's that affinity, like I say, it's affinity. Now, the best football I've ever seen at City is Guardiola's football and probably Kevin Keegan's football. Loved those two managers, but I never really had the affinity I had like I did with Joe Royle. And you know, I'd rather go for a pint with Joe Royle than I would with out the other two. Do you know what I mean? And that's not to disrespect Pep or Kevin Keegan. It is that who grabbed you. You know what I mean? And understood what it was or what it was.
Well, it'll be the same, won't it? It'll be like if you ask Tom in 20 years' time, you know, the same question. There'll be people that will have grabbed him, and it might be Pep, it might be a Kevin De Bruyne, or it might be somebody. It's a generational thing. It's what, and I think a lot of those type of questions come down to it's feeling. It's something that makes you when you think back to that day, the tingling and everything else that goes on. It's that stays with you forever, rather than statistics or things. It's emotion into it. And I mean, for me, it was probably those 3 or 4 players, and I could pick either or all. But I'll go for Andy Morrison and Sean Goater because they just absolutely adore the club. In the heart, and you never hear them say anything bad about the club, and I agree. Brilliant. A very good question. Whoa, what a question. Right, over to you, Martin.
I'm going to be a bit more straightforward with mine. Who, in your eyes, is City's greatest ever captain and why?
Oh. Okay.
It was going to be easy, but looking at your faces, it might not be.
It
It's
might.
hard for me.
I thought it'd be easier for you, Tom, than anybody.
Yeah, I would. But anyway,
Yeah.
well, Chris,
Yeah.
we'll come to you first.
I'm a bit too young, really, to remember Tony Buck, but he obviously has a very special place in City history. And the only other captain who you can, I mean, God, you shit, Dave Watson. I don't know. I loved Keith Curl. I really liked him when he's, but no, that's not Keith Curl. It's got to be Vinny in it. You know, the guy. He's one of those players who totally adopted Manchester as his home. You know, and he got us. He definitely did. And he was a brilliant footballer as well. You know, and. Well, if there's a nicer bloke on the planet, then I'd like to meet him. So yeah, it's going to be Vinny for me.
Okay, Tom.
Yeah, it's got to be Vinny, hasn't it? Really, it's got to be Vin. You know, he's done so much for not just the club, but for the surrounding areas of Manchester as well. You know, he's just a damn right nice guy, and he's one of those, like Chris said, that you'd just love to meet and have a chat with him because he's just a down to earth guy. And yeah, Vinny has to be Vinny, doesn't it? Really.
Okay. Well, you know my answer. It's this season's captain. I'm only kidding.
I was waiting for that.
It's not David Silva. No, it's not. He is the captain, and he is, you know, this club captain. But yeah, I mean, I was too young for Tony Buck. I don't. 77 was my first game, and as kids and things, I can't remember that much about the feeling and passion of captain. So, I mean, over that time, yeah, Keith Curl was for me, yeah, good shout. But it's gotta be Vinny. Just an absolute legend. He'll be somebody that the question you asked, Chris, in 10, 15, 20 years time, maybe he's the person that Tom will be talking about going, you know, that person who represents the club, and it'll be somebody like Vinny Company for me.
I get it. So no one's going Richard Dunn or Andy Morrison.
Yeah, Dunny, mate. I love them both.
I love both. Yeah, Dunny.
I was thinking about Richard Dunn.
I'd have Andy Morrison.
Yeah.
It'd be Dunny for me. It'd be Dunny for me if it were the other one.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a generational thing again for me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I gave Andy Morrison the accolade before in the previous question as a epitomised.
Tweet me.
No. But I just think, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
What about Paul Power? You know, there's another one, Paul Power.
Yeah. Paul Power, brilliant. You know, yeah, brilliant. There are some great ones. I mean, I can't look beyond Vinny. I just can't. As close as the others are that we named, I just can't look beyond him. Simple as that. Right. Okay. So that's the end of the golden question. So I haven't got one. Maybe I should just ask one very quickly. So it'll have to be one off the top of one off the.
Change it up a little bit.
Hey, I've got one.
I don't normally ask one, but I'll ask one very quickly. So, let me think, because this is literally on the spur of the moment. I don't normally ask questions, but right. How many Premier Leagues do you think City will win by 2030? Premier Leagues. I'm talking about Premier League wins. So we're currently on 4. So in the next 10 years, how many Premier League titles do you think City will win by 2030? So 10 more years. So I'll go to, and of course, I'm not asking you Champions League because I'm not interested in it. So Premier League titles, Tom, between now and 2030, when you will be in your mid-20s and he'll be an absolute sort of, historian of Manchester City and all the titles they've won and all the Champions Leagues they won in that time. How many Premier League titles will City win between now and 2030? So, in total.
Just a one-word answer, yeah?
Yeah.
7.
Wow. So three more in 10 years. Okay. You're really hedging your bets there. Chris?
I would go 2 or 3.
So you're going for 7 by 2030 then? 6 or 7?
Yeah. The reason I say that is football's a really strange business, isn't it? And there's no guarantee that next year some rich person doesn't come along, buy Manchester United, and they suddenly are back right at the top. It's who would have thought?
Yeah.
No, but I'm just saying it could happen. It could happen. And Liverpool are going to definitely be up there, giving us a run for our money in the next few seasons. So yeah, I'd be happy with 3.
So that'd be 7 then. 7 in the Premier League era. All right.
I'll give you my total. So these
that's 7 more than Liverpool will win in 2030.
I think we've already got 4. I think by the end of it, when I'm approaching a certain age,
60.
No, 50.
It's out, folks.
I know. I think it'll be 9 in total. I think we'll win another 5 in the next year. And here's one for you. I think City will win the next 2 or 3 on the bounce.
Ooh, wow!
So I think
I'll take that.
I think this is going to rejuvenate the team. I think it'll get redone. And I think
are you pumping up a Lilo there?
No, rubbing my leg because I'm in pain. Sorry, I had a pain in my leg.
His missus is making him sleep on a Lilo. All right then, very quickly, one answer. Between now and 2030, how many Champions Leagues will City win? Or you could call it a Super League or whatever you want to call it. But between in the next 10 years, how many? Tom?
Put together, you know what?
Tom, no, you're going to have to give me an answer. Go on.
3.
3?
What? That's more than the Premier League.
Trust me.
Same as the Premier League. Wow. Okay. Chris?
None.
None. Are we banned? Are we banned for the next 2 though?
Yeah.
No.
No. Right. So we're not banned.
We're not getting banned. Don't worry about it.
2.
Wow. Chris there. Chris, ever the optimist.
No. We're getting relegated.
None.
KDB signing for Liverpool.
I'll say none, and they're going to take all the Premier League trophies off us as well. Right, listen, bit of fun to end it. Guys, listen, that's the end of Friday Night Social. Hope you enjoyed it. And I want to say a massive thank you to Martin, to Chris, to Tom for coming on. There's just the 4 of us tonight. It's a bit easier to control, and everyone gets more chance of a bit of a say and things like that. But we'll be back next week, maybe some different guests as well. So, but guys, listen, thank you again. Stay safe, whatever you're doing. Keep your distancing. We've got another 3 weeks of this lockdown. So, Chris, stay safe.
Thank you, Andy. Do you want to sort of, we've talked about other clubs tonight, haven't we? And I want to send my sincerest condolences to Leeds fans for losing Norman Hunter. When I was a kid, right, I would play football against my dad, right, and he would come running behind me saying, "I'm going to bite your legs. I'm going to bite your legs." And Norman Hunter had this huge, aura about him, didn't he, about being this, But he was a great footballer and, a real icon of Leeds United. So if there are any Leeds fans out here, you have my deepest and sincerest condolences. An absolute legend of the game. And stay safe, everyone.
Nice words. Tom?
I'll just repeat what Chris said. Yeah, condolences to every Leeds fan about Norman Hunter. Yeah, Just repeat that, and everybody just stay safe. Make sure you stick to the guidelines. Stay inside and clap the NHS at 8 o'clock on a Thursday. Stay at your doorsteps, and we can get this quicker. We can get this done quicker.
Not on Westminster Bridge, stood
Not on
next
Westminster
to each other.
Bridge. Yeah. And police not doing anything about it.
Absolutely. Spot on. Martin?
Yeah, just echoing everyone's thoughts. I'm Norman Hunter. Stay safe. Look after each other. Just hashtag together, as I always say.
Yeah, well, listen, you know my thoughts on it, and thank you so much for the guests coming on. Yeah, you know, sad news, but he's not the first footballer over the last week or two to lose their lives, and you know, rest in peace to the rest of them and everybody else who's, you know, sadly dying in this current climate. And big, massive thank you to all the NHS staff, not just the NHS staff, but all the frontline workers, people in care homes as well. They seem to get forgotten about. Prison officers, police officers, you know, all of these people that are putting their lives at risk. The everyday people that are going out into the environment to collect the bins, to deliver food, deliver parcels, all of those people. A big round of applause from us, not just the NHS staff, but they are doing a wonderful, wonderful job. So anyway, again, thanks Martin, thanks Chris, thanks Tom. This is Andy from Man City Fan TV. This is the Friday Night Social. Don't forget, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon. That way you'll be notified when the next video comes out, which is every day, as you know. And don't forget, make sure your settings are set to public, not private. That way you'll be notified. But take care, stay safe.
Give it a thumbs up.
Absolutely, give it a thumbs up and stay safe. Stay indoors when you need to be, but go out, get your 1 hour exercise, and yeah, just keep following the channel. We'll see you soon.